Welcome to the new recording studio.
Welcome. Yes.
Handmade backdrop.
We have all of our Ute CrossFit
Voila. Bienvenue.
memorabilia.
We'll headshot Adrian into these pictures.
Yeah. Like Adrian was at the CrossFit Games. No, we have like our little, at the gym, our little Hall of Fame area. It's, Ute CrossFit's got a pretty big history, and I didn't want to ever get rid of that because I think it's cool. I think it's cool what Tommy built and what he did with all the coaches and stuff. It's a pretty big deal.
I agree.
Next, I'll get down all the trophies and stuff, and then I'll just litter the background with the trophies from them.
Can I wear the football helmet?
100%. Yeah, his football helmet from...
I think we finally put that in storage.
Yeah, I don't know where that thing is, to be honest.
I think he took it when he...
Is it still over there?
I thought it was on the Cubbies, yeah.
Oh, I think...
No, we took it off.
I don't remember. I think
Unless we
maybe...
put it back up.
I feel like a member took it. Britt gave it to a member.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Probably a
because
former Ute.
I think it was Drew Tyre, to be honest, but I'm not really sure. He
Drew,
comes to
Drew
mind.
rubs that before he comes
Yeah,
there for his
Yeah.
good luck charm.
No, today's topic is going to be motivation and how it's the most important thing that you can do. No, I'm just kidding.
You gotta watch
See
those
Adrian's
YouTube
face.
videos.
Is it now? No, motivation. What does it mean to each of us? Do any of us kind of lean into it? Do you not lean into it? Like, what do you? Those kinds of questions and whatnots.
Yeah.
Awkward silence. I wanted to throw it in there. No. So motivation. I think motivation is really good for getting people started. I think people's motivations change. I think people tend to, like you were saying, Carlos, is that the motivation tends to, or not Carlos, Adrian, you're saying motivation tends to be something that too many people lean into for too long. And we were talking about this the other day. Discipline is more better.
I think it's sustainable.
Yeah.
Like motivation comes and goes.
Yeah. I think motivations change over time too. What motivates you today is not the same motivation that's in 6 months to a year. I think most people's motivation for starting CrossFit or starting working out or starting exercise or whatever is to lose weight, to look good naked, to feel better, for longevity, for health reasons. I think a majority of the people's first thing to come in is they just want to lose weight.
Yeah, and then there's like that little bit of hope of you might go to the games.
Yeah.
Like
some people do have that. I'd say it's a small percentage, but some
Very
people
small,
do.
yeah.
Some people do think that's what they're going to do. They're
like, oh, dude, I'll quit my job, and you want to work out? No, you won't.
yeah,
It's
right.
a lot of work now.
Yeah. Actually, I had a interesting conversation with a guy yesterday. I was getting my tattoo worked on, and this guy came up to me. He was like looking at my tattoo, and then I have a few other tattoos. He was asking where I got them, and I was like, oh, Oklahoma. He's like, why are you out here? And I was just kind of telling him about the gym and stuff. And I guess he had a girlfriend back in 2013, 14, 15, sometime around then, that worked at the Holiday Gym. And he was like, he's a trainer. He has like a little like gondola area out in the back of his house, and he has like a little gym set up. He's showing me pictures and stuff. It looks really cool. Like it's behind the U, so it's like a really good valley view. Anyway, he was like, yeah. He's like, do you enjoy training people still? And I was like, yeah, I do. I've been doing this for 10 years. You know, I still enjoy it. I was like, yeah, some days I don't want to go to work, but that's everybody. I still enjoy it though. And he was just like, oh, I just think people there's just so many wussies today, and people just, if it hurts, it's supposed to, because you're training and you're working. I was like, oh, okay, dude, all right, whatever. Anyway, it was a weird conversation, but he was like, he said, he's like, I have people that come in all the time that want to do CrossFit, and I tell them like, can you do kipping pull-ups? Are you an Olympic weightlifter? I think they need at least 6 months of training before they do any CrossFit. I was like, well, I don't.
Yeah, I don't think that you have to do that, but I think having like a template for like guidance, and it doesn't have to be followed 100%.
Well, I told the dude, I was like
you should be able to start
immediately.
Yeah,
he was
like,
well, are you an Olympic weightlifter? Do you know how to snatch? I said, I teach people how to snatch on their third day.
Yeah.
Well, I don't understand. What are you getting at?
I don't know. Like, did you think about like, hey, I need to hold off and start CrossFit before I do it? Like, you get a lot of people that'll they'll come to the gym overweight and they're like, oh, man, I'm not ready for this.
They need to work out before they start working out.
I'm like, dude, this is it's going to be like you're starting over, even though you worked out at the gym and did your own thing or did Pilates or Orange Theory, whatever you're going to do. Coming in here and just getting acclimated is what you need. You just need one step in front of the other and just start. That's like the biggest challenge.
Yeah, I agree. And it was just an interesting conversation. He was just like, do you know how to squat snatch? Then you do, you don't need to. And I was like,
well, I mean, it's not because you don't know that you can't learn.
no, I know. But he was like saying that like, because you don't know how to do it, you can't do it. But the point that that you were kind of like going to the games, he was like, well, a lot of people are like, oh, I want to go to the CrossFit games. And that's why they want to start. And I was like, well, yeah, a lot of people get motivated by that, and then once they realize the amount of work it takes in order to get to that point, and then also like how much time you need to train to get there. But to say, do you know how to do a kipping pull-up or a snatch? You shouldn't do it.
Yeah,
that's like, do you know how to ride a bike? You should never get on one then.
Well, I mean, it's like, and shoot for the stars and land on the moon, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. That's the saying.
Yeah, so like, I mean, like, shit, like, it's okay if you want to go, or if you think you want to go to the games,
no,
and then you end
I'm
up.
not like, shitting on that. I'm not saying that by no means. What I'm shitting on is the whole like, should you start CrossFit? But
well, you remember when the downtown
I own a fucking CrossFit gym.
Yeah,
so.
I was just responding to that. What the guy was saying,
your CrossFit
like,
games.
Like,
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I agree.
And honestly, going back to his argument about do you know how to snatch, or like nobody should start doing CrossFit, until they've done like 6 months of Olympic weightlifting or whatever. And to be very honest, people have been snatching for years and they're still not good, and I'm one of them.
Same.
So.
Well, yeah, I'm the same. Like, I remember when the downtown gym when I was running it, and I was like, no barbells. I used the past experience of how bad my shoulders hurt, so I was like
projected that on everybody else.
Yeah, so we were trying to differentiate. We didn't want to have you CrossFit and the U gym. We want to kind of separate ourselves so that we didn't want to take clients from each other.
Yeah.
And I came back to CrossFit, dude, and I missed doing all those snatches and barbell, and I think I'm in just as good a shape and with my joints and stuff from doing it and being smart with it, versus eliminating it completely and being like, you should not do it. This is dangerous. Like we talked about last week with everything. Like
the Dangerous podcast.
Yeah, like you have to take ownership and then be smart with it. Like
but it was just it's always an interesting conversation to me to talk to people who don't do CrossFit, like what they think of it and stuff like that. Anyway, it's kind of all a side tangent to talk about motivation. Like you were saying, Adrian, I remember we went to, I haven't talked about this on the podcast, but we went to Ben Bergeron's Business of Excellence thing he had at my old gym. All of us.
The box seminar.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. It was all of us coaches that this is the first time he had ever done one whole gym came to it.
Oh, wow.
Normally it's multiple coaches from other gyms, so you can get experiences from all gyms and stuff. But we just went there to learn, like, what do they do? How do they teach? Those kinds of things. And my old boss used to talk about how, like, if I wasn't there already, then I needed to quit. Like,
there where?
The games.
You need to quit what?
Like, trying.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, that makes no fucking sense, but okay. And it used to get really frustrating to me because it was like, man, I just enjoy training. I enjoy working out. But I think what it was for him was that we weren't doing his program all the time. Like I did his program for 6-8 months, something like that. And I got really weak, not to put anything against what he was doing. The gym was doing well, but it was just that style of training that he programmed for the gym didn't work well with me. And that's fine. That's just me.
Was it like demotivation though too from him just constantly saying that to you?
Yeah, a little bit. Constantly just making me second guess every freaking thing that I was doing instead of like believing in what I'm doing. I'm like, I might be wasting my time. But anyway, well, I asked Ben, I said, what if you have someone who's new, who's never done CrossFit? They come in, they're like, hey, I saw the CrossFit games on YouTube. I want to try to make that. What do you tell them? And he was like, here's an experience we had. He said, we had a guy that came in, he was about 50 to 80 pounds overweight. And he's like, he couldn't run I think a 200 without stopping. So he was like, all right, this is going to be a long, hard battle, but you can do it if you really want to do it. He goes, but first, we got to get to where you can start running the 400s and 200s without stopping. So he's like, I basically laid out, not like a, here's your program to get to the CrossFit games, but like a game plan, like, you need to be able to do all the movements. You need to be able to whatever. And he was like, a year later, he was on our team, on our CrossFit Games team,
Wow, that's awesome.
and made it to the games. And he was just like, and he ended up being one of the better athletes on the team. And it was like, he goes, had I told that guy, no, it's really hard to make it and you can never make it, that guy may not have ever worked out. And to kind of put a point on to what Adrian was saying, if someone come in and they want to make the CrossFit Games, I'm going to tell them the same thing. I'm going to be honest with you. It's going to be a lot of hard work. It's very tough, but it is doable. You just have to put in a lot of time and effort. And like you were saying, let's say that you're training for that and you're like, oh, I don't have time or the effort to try to make it to the CrossFit Games. I just want to be healthy and I really like this style of fitness. Cool. We've achieved a goal. You know what I mean? Got you out of the house, got you start exercising, start focusing on food, start focusing on nutrition, those kinds of things, and now you're better. But I think motivation is a great topic to talk about with you guys because, like Carlos, you said that you used to really lean into that, like YouTube videos about motivation and
all the time.
stuff like that. Adrian, you've told me in the past, and I want to dive into each one of these things, that you feel like motivation is a little bit, not necessarily overrated, but a little like too much leaned into. And I myself, I think motivation's an ebb and flow. It comes and goes. I think having something to work towards that's keeping you motivated to go in, I think is important. But I agree with both of you in that on both sides. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
So let's start with Adrian. Let's start with your thought on like motivation and stuff.
Yeah. I think some of it, some of the discussion also comes down to semantics and like, the definition of motivation is a necessity, a motivation, right? Or is it different? But I guess what I have against motivation is that motivation, you can't really control motivation.
Yeah.
It's emotional, right?
Motivation is amazing when it's there because it's just so easy to use and it makes everything a lot easier to accomplish. But what if it's not there? Then
like on those bad days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just like Carlos was mentioning earlier, he mentioned Jocko Willink, who always says discipline is freedom. And I think discipline is more important than motivation because you have control over discipline.
Yeah.
And if you make discipline a habit, then you never have to rely on motivation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Motivation's like that cherry on top that like you can kind of exceed your goal sometimes. You know what I
agree.
mean? It's like that nitro if you're in the Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
And so I think in the conversation we had the other day,
favorite movie,
you were mentioning that, I guess motivation is or can be used as like the ignition,
yeah,
right? And then discipline is what keeps you going.
I like that.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with that, but it can be motivation or it can be like I was saying, like a necessity, right? Something that you need, right? Like, for example, I don't know, staying healthy or, like I tend to think that's something that I tend to do a lot, which may be a little weird, but, thinking back about like thousands of years ago, cavemen and stuff like that, I'm sure a lot of them didn't have the motivation to go hunting or the motivation to face anything that they had to face every single day, but
the necessity to survive was there.
Yeah. So if they were like, you know what, I really don't feel like it today, well then you're dead.
Yeah.
I was actually going to lean into something like that as you were saying that. Like, do you think like because we have it so easy growing up, we don't really have that many hardships that we tend
100%.
to we tend to focus way more on motivation than just get up and do it. Like put in the hard work, maybe you want something, but then you want all these other social aspects, or you want to do all this other stuff and be able to achieve something rather than sacrifice that stuff, which comes with discipline to achieve what you want, whether it's in fitness goals, to eating, to losing weight, to financial freedom and stuff like that. I think no one's really had hearts, because like I think about our grandparents and stuff, and like through the depression and stuff like that, they just wanted to eat.
Yeah.
There's people that get stressed out over not getting like whole milk in their frappuccino or something.
Yeah. My question for you guys, and I'll answer my end of it, and then I want your thoughts. Like, what motivated you to start exercising? So the reason why I asked that question is everybody is slightly motivated differently. I was talking to someone the other day, and they're like, you just need grit. You just need to work hard. And it's like, well, not everybody has that. For me, whenever I first tried to start in high school, like I've explained this numerous times, I got made fun of for being so small and weak and blah, 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 blah. And that just made me hate it. Like, that didn't light a fire under my ass to make me want to go prove them wrong or nothing like that. I was just like, this atmosphere sucks. I don't know what I'm doing, and you guys are ripping on me because I don't know what I'm doing. Then when I got in college, I had a friend of mine that was I started with me and Britt. We tried doing P90X numerous times.
I felt
we
like
start
that.
and stopped it so many times.
It's not fun.
You know, it wasn't that it wasn't fun. It was just kind of like, oh, this sucks. Like, I'm bored with this. Like, I don't want to do this. Then, to be honest, we broke up. And we broke up for a little over 3 years, 3.5 years, something like that. And whenever we broke up, that was honestly, I know it's like a meme and it's kind of funny. Like, there's some videos, it's like, oh, and you see some guy with his like head down and he's just grinding. They're like, yeah, he just had a bad breakup or something like that, you know? Like, that's legitimately what motivated me to start trying to work out, because it was like, not that the body is the only thing that people look at or want, but it was just kind of like that's I was skinny and I was starting to get fat, and I was like, this sucks. Like, I don't like the way I feel. I don't like the way I look.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start working on that. So I did Insanity. I did it, I think, 3 different times through. Like, I finished it, and then I brought in some friends to do it with me and finished it, and then did it again by myself and finished it. The whole thing. I did it numerous times.
Dude, that takes a lot of grit.
And I did it by myself in the living room. Like, I would just turn my TV on, and my roommates would just make fun of me while I'm in there just like sweating and dying. But I love the feeling afterwards. But also, I think about like my family. Like, my family, I come from, like, we have a bunch of health problems and stuff. Like, I don't want to have any of those things. That shit scares me so much that I don't want to run into that. So I feel like I'm almost addicted in needing to work out. So I started to see results with the Insanity, started to feel the endorphins from after I would finish each session laying on the ground. And then also the thought process of my family and the history and stuff, that I was just like, I don't want to end up like that. And when you see people in their 70s, 80s, even 60s, where they look like they're 120, you know, like, it's like, you can prevent all of that. We literally have members at the gym that prove that they get around. They don't
look at Chuck now. Or
yeah, it doesn't matter.
I know we agree not to say names,
but Chuck's good. Denise, she's almost 70. She's 68, something
Dude,
like that.
I love her. She's
so like,
awesome.
I completely redid my entire front yard into the drought, whatever. Like, they got rid of all of her grass. She did it.
Oh, yeah,
she did it herself.
Xeriscaping?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Is that what's it called?
Xeriscaping. Yeah,
that's awesome.
But like, she did it all herself, and she's in her late 60s. If you were to look at like some of the people I grew up around, I'm like, man, getting old sucks because you just die. And it's like, no, it doesn't have to be that way. But that's what motivated me to first start, was a breakup. And I was like, wow. So I did all that. And then my friend growing up, he was like, hey, I'll teach you. I just need a workout partner. Come work out with me. No one will ever stay with it. And I'm like, all right, yeah, show me what to do. So I went with him. He taught me how to bench. He taught me how to do a pull-up, and he would pick me up, and he would do, like, I couldn't do anything before I started. Like, literally, I couldn't even squat below parallel because I was so tight, and I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
He showed me kind of the starting stages, and then whenever he graduated college, he was a few years ahead of me, he left, and I was like, well, I don't have a workout partner. It's on me now. So I just went and worked out on my own, and I just started reading online. I took a few health classes while I was in college, and I was like, this is exciting. And that's why I kind of got into teaching and those things. But But on the fitness side of things, like that's what originally motivated me. Then I would take Jack 3D that had meth in it. The early formulas had meth. So
But I think a lot of people think that it's like it's always a steady incline. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys think, but like life itself is not supposed to be even keel or always on a high.
No, you have a high
everything's
and a low.
everything's temporary, so there's always going to be peaks and valleys.
yeah,
And is motivation sometimes good in those lows to get you back up? I think in certain instances, but I'm going to agree with Adrian more. Is if you're more disciplined of being regimented, when you have those dips where you don't want to go, it's cold, your joints hurt, you had a bad night's sleep. That discipline gets you over those valleys and up on the mountaintops there.
yeah. Go ahead, Adrian.
Yeah, I feel like discipline kind of like eliminates that discussion that you may have with yourself.
Get a little more comfortable.
Um,
I kind of fucked that up, didn't I?
Discussion that you may have with yourself. Should I do it? Should I not do it? Do I feel like doing it? If your discipline is like, it doesn't even, like, you don't even need to have that conversation. It's like, well, whether I feel like doing it or not, I'm just, whatever it is, I'm going.
Yeah, I think motivation kind of gets you through those valleys a little bit, and I don't necessarily mean like you go in and fucking kill it on those mornings that you're like it's cold, but it's just kind of like a gentle reminder of this is why I'm doing this. That's how I look at motivation. Is like, well, like you asked before we started, you said like, what's your why?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a gentle reminder. I think with the discipline and stuff, I think that has to do with more with being habit based. Making it a habit to become that now is your discipline. I don't know. That's kind of how I look at it.
That's one of my favorite quotes by Aristotle is we are what we repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence is not an act, but a habit.
Yeah, that's
it's
really good.
It was one of my favorite quotes by him.
I was talking to Dan the other day. That's the reason why I was telling you, is because I don't want to steal his story. But he was telling me that this trainer was helping this guy lose weight, and the guy lost like 200 pounds or something like that. He was like 400 plus pounds. And he said that he told the guy, he goes, all I want you to do for the first 6 months or however long, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, every day, go to the gym, do one machine for 5 minutes and leave. If you don't feel like it, go in and do it for 1 minute and leave. He goes, because first I wanted to create the habit. Dan was here. He said he slept wrong and hurt his back. And I said, yeah, that's your 30s and on. But he was like, he didn't work out, but he still showed up. And he's like, I want to keep this habit of coming in because I'm out of habit. So he was saying that that's what that trainer was trying to teach the other guy. Was like, when you get off work, what do? I go straight to the gym, I do a workout, and then I go home. I don't go home first because then you could talk yourself out of it really quick and you end up not working out. So he goes, he spent the first 4 to 6 months just building a habit of this is what you do. And then it turned into bigger, longer training sessions. But first was just building habit.
Oh yeah, I
That
mean,
makes sense.
that's one of the reasons why you guys make fun of me when I was saying I trained 7 days just to come to the gym
Yeah.
and do something. For me, it makes my day. Like
Yeah.
it gives me, whether I'm PRing anything or I just get a good sweat in or just do some double unders. It's just something that I've noticed makes my life better.
Yeah. And that's
Right.
cool. Yeah. Even if you just come in and just move. Like today I saw one of our members, she was sitting on the bike. And Britt was like, hey, you jumped into class? She's like, no, just biking today. And it's because that's all she felt like energy-wise, but she's staying in the habit of going to the gym. So it's like I think you guys are on to a really good point about the habit and discipline stuff, because I feel like that's to me, that's what keeps you coming. That's what keeps you going. That's what keeps you working out for, years at a time. Whenever you're, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years deep plus, why do you keep going? Because like I remember listening to that, I don't know if you heard that comedian, he was like, you see that really jacked guy that's super ripped and jacked, and the guy's like, dude, you're done. Like you accomplished what you needed to. Why are you here? And it's like, no, this is habit, and this is how I maintain what I've already done. But I think the motivation of something is what's going to drive you. And whether that be you see someone who's really in shape, someone who's jacked, someone who's ripped, someone who has the ideal body type that you're looking for, someone has the ideal lifestyle that you're looking for. Like like we talked about with you, you said when you first started out, like before we started the podcast, you were like, What'd you say? I remember, but I want you to talk because I feel like I talk a lot.
No, I forget what I was saying. I say
You were
I was-
talking about like whenever you first started working out, you would be like, "Oh, I'll go next week," or "Oh, I'm not going to go today."
Oh yeah, like the procrastination of like even when you're like trying a new thing. That's why I did that like contract thing with myself. But yeah, I would always be like, oh, I'm gonna go. I would go to the gym. I get there, I wouldn't feel I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go home, and I wouldn't do it. And I had that history. Like that's why basketball camps and stuff, you had to be there,
Yeah.
right? And then CrossFit was like the first thing since basketball that people held you accountable, which was like, where were you? Why didn't you come? And I don't know, maybe I got guilted into going a lot of times, but then I started to love that scoreboard. Like you're just competing with other people. I'd lose all the time, and then just getting better at that and going and a lot of times I would say like those reasons were like my motivation was like I wanted to lose weight. You want to look a certain image. You want to look good naked. I told you the story and I won't get too in detail with it, but like mine was not being able to help people that I've lost with fighting addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if I'm not going and doing this, like there's a person that should be here right now that would love every opportunity that they have. And sometimes that's my motivation. If I'm like, even like last night I was going home and I was like coming from Costco, I was like, I can jump into the 5:30 real quick.
Right.
And I stopped in and did the workout. Like I don't think it's like some people have FOMO, which I finally learned in the past year, fear of missing out.
The 5:30. We have a 5:30.
You mean 5 p.m.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm joking about.
or the 5:30 because that's what time you showed up. You get mad at everybody for showing up late. But
But yeah, those are those little things that like motivate you and do stuff. But as time has gone on, like I've started to focus more on like the discipline aspect of if you want something sustainable, you have to keep maintaining it. And every now and then you're going to lose motivation, but
yeah, I feel like I heard someone say you gain true freedom once you have discipline or something like that. Does that make sense? I can't remember exactly what I was saying who said it, but
I think that's it's on point. Because you're not.
If it's Joko who said that.
it could be because it was like it's definitely one of the military guys. But yeah, it was just basically saying like if you're just always free flowing, you're never really gonna get the things that you want. I guess I don't know. Like, how do you interpret that?
Well, I think it goes back to the point I was making earlier. Like, if you have discipline, you don't have to have the discussion with yourself of like, do I even want to do this, or do I like? You don't have to question things anymore. It's just like it's part of the flow. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to like negotiate with yourself. It's just you just keep moving forward.
Yeah, it like so. It's what I want to get to with like this conversation is for those people that struggle with the motivational side of things, and I know we keep talking about that's not what we need, but like that keep them excited and keep them wanting to work out and keep them showing up on days like it's starting to get really cold here in Salt Lake. If anybody's listening that's not from here, it's in the 30s, 20s. So it's like when you wake up in the morning and it's frost on everything and it's 20s. Do you get up and go to the gym, or when you get off work and you're tired from a long day,
It's
do you
dark
go
out.
and it's dark out all early because it gets dark at like 5:36. Like, do you go into the gym and work out whenever there's no sunshine and rainbows that's going on outside? It's snow and frost and freezing, and you get outside and you don't want to. You're super cold. Like to those people, like we have it built into us already. Like we can say, just show up, just go to the gym, just do this because it's already built in us. But for those people that they're struggling with it, like what do you tell them? Like to keep them excited, to keep them wanting to come in. I have ideas, but like, what do you guys think? Like if you have a member that's not really showing up, or if you have a friend that's not really going and exercising, do you just like wash your hands of them, or?
No. You gotta stay on top of them, and people appreciate that. Just like a little check-in, like I do it with.
You do it really well with people. I've realized.
And I'll just reach out and be like, "Yo, what's up, dude?" Like, I haven't seen you. Like, let's get you in here. Like, I'll give you some stuff to do if your shoulders hurt and you're just not feeling it. I think it's the one statement that we talked about a couple weeks ago where it's like with like food and stuff, like we crave junk food and then we eat it. We're so excited to eat it, and then you eat it and you feel like crap. And then the things that actually make us feel good, like exercise, you dread it, and then you feel great afterwards.
Right.
I would just keep reminding that person of like, hey, whatever your goal is, we need to keep chipping away at it. But also, how good do you feel when you leave here? Like
Right.
that is
Just kind of like a little gentle reminders.
yeah, like dude, it's honest. Like it's the best hour of your day. Like I remember working a full-time job. That was like the best hour and a half. Like you got to see your boys and the girls you trained with, and then the coaches, the interaction, and it was
Just fun.
yeah, it made extra, like it was no longer a task that I had to check mark off my task list for the day.
Gotcha.
Because everyone has at their office like things they have to get done. They're task oriented. This becomes one of those, and CrossFit did an excellent job. And you and Britt, and myself working here, have made it to where I don't think people like just check marking it. They actually want to be here. They enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. What about you, Carl or Adrian? Whenever you have had friends in the past or anything that's just kind of like low, I hate to keep using the word motivation or something like that. Like, when you try to help them or something like that, like, what do you tell them? Like, what do you tell someone who's struggling with it? Get your shit together.
I mean,
Quit being a little
so
bitch.
in a way, yes, because as much as I see physical activity, not necessarily just CrossFit, but just physical activity in general, as fun and also a way to like hang out with people who have similar hobbies and point of interest. I also see physical activity as a necessity, and I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with is long-term thinking. And if you don't make physical activity as part of your life, you will regret it down the road,
Yeah.
big time. And
It's so interesting you say that, because I agree with you 100%. But it's so hard for people to see that. It's like with people's finances.
that's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, because if
In
you guys
in
don't know, he's
so many
he's helped
ways.
out with financial stuff.
In so many ways, like the reason why
Like a
And-
lot of parallels.
100%, like the the reason why so many people don't start investing early on is because you can't see the results from one day to the other, or even maybe from like 1 month to the other. And going to the gym is the same thing. You're going to go to the gym like once, twice, 3 times, 5 times. You're not going to look any different. I mean, the only difference is that you'll be sore as shit, and that's not good. Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
Instant gratification is what people look for.
And the thing is that people tend to forget, like people are, no matter how old they are, whether they're in their 20s, 30s, 40s, they feel fine. Hormones and things like that make that they still feel okay. But if you don't make physical activity as like a habit or part of your life, everybody knows it's just like in finance, right? Everybody knows that if you don't invest early on, you'll be broke at the end of your life. And here it's the same thing with physical activity. Everybody knows that it's just like smoking. Everybody just knows that it's bad for you, yet some people still do it.
Yeah.
And they can't say that they don't know, because they do. Here, everybody knows that once you get to a certain age, like your muscle mass will start diminishing significantly unless you maintain it. And if you don't have muscle mass, you're literally like a coat hanger, and you'll be in pain all the time. You'll have to take a bunch of medicines, and your quality of life will be miserable.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that, right? But I think people tend to like voluntarily forget it, or just push it off until it's too late.
Yeah.
Because guess what? You don't teach old dogs new tricks, and you're not going to start working at it. I mean, not saying that it never happens, but it's so much harder to build habits when you get to the point where, I think once you get to a certain age, actually building muscle mass becomes very difficult,
Yeah.
right? significantly harder, at least, than maintaining what you already have.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I think
I think
forgot-
people just typically forget that time goes by no matter what. And 6 months is going to be here. No matter what you do, you can't stop it. It's not going to
So-
stop. Nothing you do is going to change that.
Yeah. And so, like, just to go back to your initial question is, you know, what do I tell people is, like, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, it's your choice, but like, as much as physical activity is fun and it's going to make you look better and it's going to make you more of this or more of that, just don't forget it's also a necessity,
Yeah.
right? I think, you know, I think
Yeah.
one of the hard truths in life
Yeah,
is there's no way around it. There's just no way around it.
When we're created that way, we're built to move. We weren't built to sit in offices.
Yeah.
And that being said, I mean, you know, it could be CrossFit or just, you know, any other
Anything. Yeah.
type of,
Pilates, dude, like pole dancing,
anything that, yeah,
aerobics.
anything that, like, you know, maintains your muscle mass. Just,
Yeah, I agree. I think kind of like a takeaway from what you were saying is like I think that people do tend to forget that is a very big necessity, is just moving. I was working with a client and they were saying that, like, you know, like I hike all the time and I do all this stuff, and why is this so hard? And it was just like their second day. And I was like, well, how often do you go below parallel in a squat? I was like, even sitting on a toilet, you don't go below parallel. You know, you just sit straight down to that and you go back up. But but I was like, but you have a full range of motion. If you get on the floor and get back up, you're going to move your joints through full range of motion that you need. And I think some people just tend to not know. They don't know that is how your body's supposed to do because of, like you were saying, like as a kid or whatever, like you're still pliable, you can still move around, but it's like that's every day. But also when you see like older people like struggling to get up from their chair, or hey, grandma, come out here and ride this bike with me. I can't. You go ahead. I'm just old. It's just kind of like that's what's ingrained in us. So when we get to that age, it's like, yeah, that's what my grandma did. That's what their grandma, you know, whatever. I think it's just kind of taught, and I don't necessarily mean from like parents. I just think it's just like your surroundings. Like being here at the gym, I see some of our older clients still just kicking ass and moving around so well, and I'm like, cool. That tells me if I keep it up, I'm going to be fine. But I think you're right, Adrian. I think it is very much that people have a hard time seeing the future because none of us can. But like knowing that what you're doing today is going to help you in 5 years. If you would have started that quote unquote diet 4 years ago, you'd be in it 4 years deep already instead of starting tomorrow or starting today. That's why I've always hated the
New Year's resolutions.
well, no, not even that. We'll start on Monday. You know, I mean, it's the same thing, but I always hated that. It's like, why? Today's the same as Monday. It's a fucking day. Start today. Like, why? Because like sometimes
Beginning of the week, man. I just want to start it off right. Like, it's an excuse.
Okay. Yeah, that's just an excuse because you don't want to be uncomfortable today, and it's okay to be uncomfortable. And I don't mean like putting yourself through, go run a mile as hard as you can. I just mean like telling yourself no. And that goes back to the discipline thing that like Adrian was saying, like it's okay to tell yourself no. Whenever you're like, damn, those Oreos look good. No, that's not going to be, that's not getting me where I want. That's not getting me to the goals that I want. So tell yourself no. And being around you, Adrian, it's like, it has reminded me, I've done that before. I've been the guy that never ate anything off of whatever I was on, like diet wise. If I wanted to like eat 100% clean and not falter, I wouldn't. I would just be like, no, I'm good. Be like, oh, come on, bro. Listen. No, I'm good. Yeah, you guys go ahead.
Nah, I'm a sucker for peer pressure.
I could see that. What were you gonna say?
Not
Adrian?
not anymore.
What were you gonna say?
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily just being on like you know, like something
Regimen?
restrictive or
Yeah, like a
something
regimen
like
or
that. It's
something
like,
like that.
you know, same thing. Like, just like, you know, some people know that smoking is bad, yet it's still like it's legal, and a significant amount of people still do it. And the same way, most of us know that there's a bunch of crap out there for sale as far as food is concerned.
Yeah.
That's
That's
just
not
being
healthy.
that's just extremely unhealthy, and there's obviously no label that says, hey, this will kill you, just like there's on cigarettes. But I would argue that the vast majority of people know that when they eat like, I don't know, like a candy or an Oreo or just whatever is considered bad for you, they know that it's bad, but they still choose to do it, right? And I think that's when discipline comes into place, because you don't have to like fight yourself like, oh man, I really want this Oreo, but I know I shouldn't be eating it. It's like, Oreo, I guess I just, or whatever other
Just,
piece of crap.
just use that
this,
example.
I just don't eat it.
Yeah.
And just whatever, just move
You also
on.
don't want to create like a terrible relationship with food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where like you can't eat this, you can't eat that.
But here's the thing: is like if you have discipline, right? If you create habits of like not eating, like just what you think or is bad for you, there's no more such a thing as a bad relationship with food, right? Because you don't have to like argue with yourself or.
Yeah, I think setting yourself up for success by being disciplined is what's going to help. And what I mean is like you've talked about on previous podcasts, just don't buy the Oreos. Just don't buy the XYZ that you know that you're going to be tempted. Like if you have ice cream in your fridge, you're going to eat it. If you don't have ice cream in your fridge, you don't have that option unless obviously you drive somewhere or do something to get it. But yeah, I agree with you. I think setting yourself up for success is what's going to help keep you from falling off the bandwagon, from falling off and doing stupid shit. Because I think, like, I have a conversation with a few other people, and it's always interesting to me, not to say that my fucking way of thinking is the correct way, because it's not, but it is whenever you have people that are like, how I look at you, Adrian, is you're very binary. It's black or white. It's yes or no. Don't eat it. Just don't eat it. Like, there's no, like, the first day that we went hunting and I hadn't eaten all day. I think I brought this up on a previous podcast, and Dan, the guy we were with, was like, oh, let's swing into Arby's. I was like, yes, let's do that. A beef and cheddar, like 3 of them, sound amazing. And you were like, no, I'm good, not gonna eat any. You hadn't eaten just as long as we hadn't. And I was like, dude, that's some discipline to say no to that. But you've built in all of these habits now that you know. Because I asked you, I was like, why aren't you going to get something? You said because Ina had prepped something for you, knew you had in the fridge to eat at home. So you're like, why am I going to eat this when I have something that's nutritious and healthy? And in my mind, I was like, oh, what do I have at home? Nothing. I have nothing prepared for me to be able to do that. So it was easy for me to make the choice to eat Arby's. But if I had the same choice, I could have been like, yeah, I'm good.
Well, that's another reason why a lot of people relapse in drug and alcohol. Like food is like drugs, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
That being said, I would just say that it's not because you don't have anything already prepped in your fridge. You can eat very easily, not to like throw you under the bus,
throw
but
me under the bus.
you can go home and literally just whoop up some scrambled eggs in like 2 minutes.
No, you're right. But this is where my mind was. I didn't have anything pre-cooked that I could just heat up and eat. And that's where I think people start to...
You don't have to heat it up. Just eat it cold.
No. Not going to make me, Adrian.
Raw.
Not going to
Just
make me.
eat it raw. If you have a raw steak in the fridge, just eat it raw.
Yeah.
I almost ate a raw one last night.
Gross.
I seared
It'll
it.
feed
It
you.
was nice and
It'll
purple.
feed you the same way.
Yeah, you're right. It will. Just taste a little different. Yeah.
I think when you're that hungry and stuff like that, there's a reason why not everyone's able to do things so clear and simple. There's got to be some.
Podcast I was listening to was talking about that, and he said, he goes, all right. He goes, go to an alcoholic or a drug addict, and he goes, you tell them like, hey, cocaine's really bad for you. You got to stop, and you can't have it anymore. Cool. Obviously, it's going to be a hard road, whatever. But they just don't do it anymore. They're good. Their addiction is still there. It's still real. If they got back into it, they would fall back into the same ways. All that shit's still there. Just don't do it. Okay? Cool. Cut it out. People that are addicted to food, okay, I'm just going to give you a little bit of cocaine every day, but you cannot overdo it, okay? Just a little bit. But this is what you have to have because you have to have it to survive. And I was like, that's a really good way of looking at it without... I'm not giving anybody excuses or anything like that, but it's like if you prep yourself to give yourself, no way out, that's what's going to help you have success. So, like, you see what I'm saying?
I think it goes back to, I don't know if you remember that example that I had mentioned in one of the previous podcasts. It's just as if you were saying, hey, I don't want to be a smoker anymore. yet I'm still gonna have like one cigarette. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna allow myself like a cheat, a cheat cigarette once per week. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? You'll never stop smoking.
Yeah.
You're always gonna be a smoker.
Yeah, I think
So-
you're right.
and-
And you're using that for like sweets and stuff, like a cheat day, cheat meal, cheat
Yeah.
whatever.
Whatever. Like
The
if-
80-20 rule, right? Like
Yeah.
eat clean 80% of the time, 20%.
Yeah.
and yeah, and I think obviously it's not like
Black and white.
100% the
Yeah.
same with food, and like that once in a while I'll have whatever I it's very interesting because that you see me like that, because I really don't see myself as someone who's strict.
Yeah.
Because I guess the reason why I don't see myself like that is because I don't really track anything and I just eat by feel.
Right.
But I guess I will agree that I have to agree, I guess, that I pay attention to what goes inside my body, and if I have a suspicion that it may not be good for me, then I just won't eat it.
Right. So this is the reason why I think that way. Sunday, I was like, I want a bowl of ice cream. I also want a bowl of cereal. So you know what I did? I made 2 different bowls, 1 bowl of cereal, 1 bowl of ice cream. I ate all of my cereal, had the milk, poured the ice cream into the milk,
Love
made it into a
milkshake?
a milkshake, and then ate that. I don't see you doing anything like that just to be like dumb like that. But it was like that was what I was wanting at the time, so I did it. So it's not that I'm like, oh, Adrian's Mr. Strict, because I do see you eating pancakes. Sometimes we go eat breakfast on Saturdays. Sometimes we'll bring over ice cream or something if we're having dinner, and we'll all eat whatever she baked and ice cream. So I know you do eat other like shit that's not good or bad, but you do have a way of like logically thinking things through, even through dire times. So, and I know it's like when I'm like, oh, I haven't eaten in 4 hours, I'm shaking and I'm starting like, I really do feel like shit because my blood sugar tanks really fucking hard, and it really does bother me. Like yesterday, I didn't eat. I couldn't see straight driving to go eat. Like legit, I don't know if that was like through pain of my arm or if I hadn't eaten. Seriously,
It's probably from the constant.
I ate at I think 8:30 or 9 that morning, and then didn't eat again until 9. So I went 12 hours. All I had was a protein shake in between that. So I was like really struggling. Like I just felt really dizzy, really off. Anyway, that's not an excuse. But what I'm saying is like in those moments where I'm like, fuck, I just need some food. I need something get in my belly. I need something. So what I'll do sometimes to keep myself from falling way off the bandwagon is going to eating a protein bar, eat something really quick that's simple, that's not like terribly bad for me. Then I'll make better decisions. But like, I don't see you getting to those points. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I think I'm pretty good with handling hunger, or what we think is hunger.
Yeah, right. I've gone days without eating when I was a kid. It sucked.
But yeah, and yeah, I think playing with like intermittent fasting for a while helped me with that.
Yeah, I remember you saying that because it helped you realize you're not going to die.
Yeah, I mean, it just gets you used to that, just feeling of being hungry, and then you just realize that actually nothing happens.
You get headaches, and I mean, you may have not, but from fasting before,
nothing bad happens.
Like-
you're not
gonna
gonna die, but like headaches and stuff like that, getting over that. Like I've gone through stuff like that where it hurts. I think he's done a good job of just managing what he puts in his body. But I mean, for other people to be motivating is, motivation for eating healthier. It's like your body works better on certain foods. Like I finally realized here about 4 years ago, I finally understood when people were like, "Oh, you're bloated." I was like, I don't know what that means. Like, oh, your
Right.
stomach's bloated. I'm like, I don't feel any different. And then finally, like, got rid of being
I feel good. What? What are you talking about?
like got
That's normal, right?
yeah. So I got rid of being bloated by cutting certain things out that created that. And now when I eat something like that, I get bloated. I'm like, I don't really want to eat that. And it comes down to like why I stopped drinking too. I barely drink that much, but like alcohol will cause my hands to
Yeah.
swell, my knees.
I think
just
I
makes
think you're
things
making
better.
a really good point of I don't think people realize what it feels like to feel good.
Oh God!
But once you dip into that and you start to do it, the other day I had someone tell me, they're like, man, I ate such and such and I felt like complete shit. And I used to eat that all the time. I'm like, yeah, because now your body's trying to fire on all cylinders, doing the training and the working out, and you're eating healthy. And then once you dive off and you realize like, oh, that's what I used to feel like 24/7 that I thought was normal.
And that's what they talk about, where he makes it like it's so easy of like the smoking thing. You know it's going to kill you, but yet you smoke. It's like you're going to eat that stuff and you know what you're going to feel like.
Yeah.
But if you've never felt good, then you're never going to know the difference. You're always going to feel like, oh man, I can eat pizza. I can eat this. I can have a beer or two.
Right.
And it's like your body, you have one, and we all talked about this. Treat it like a car, man. Like if you have, what did you like? You said, like I said, Aston Martin. What car did you say you were? When I used the analogy of a car, like treat your body like a car.
When was that?
I don't know.
It was like five
podcasts ago. I think,
you said that you were
short-term memory
you're a
loss.
little cute, little BMW, little
But
electric
like-
BMW.
Like, just any race car.
yeah, like, but like you're not gonna put it. You're not gonna put in like regular gas, and you're not gonna just do an oil change every 5 years. You're gonna keep that
Maintain
bad
it.
boy maintained.
Try to at least, yeah.
Well, like think about like how you told me about your car. Your car is always clean. Like you will clean it all the time. Like I think that carries over into like
Other
you like
things.
your training and stuff like that. So I think it full circle. Motivation is a good indicator to do something, but at the end of the day, for sustainability and for progress, you have to be disciplined.
Agreed.
And like that's 100%. Like the three of us could agree with that. Like,
Yeah. I think motivation is great. I think
When it shows up, when it decides to show up,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
amazing.
it's awesome.
well, did you ever
it's like a drug.
I know you competed and like even like when
done
you're
local
with
competitions
competitions,
stuff.
but like sports, right? You know what I hated growing up, and someone explained it. I hated when someone would be like, "Good luck tonight," and I'm like, "Good luck? I don't need luck.
Yeah.
I work my ass off. I train every day." And then it made me think, as like the Irish saying of good luck is that when you're always prepared, good luck happens because the opportunity presents itself. You
what
take
is it
advantage
that's
of
saying?
it.
It's like success is when luck and preparation comes in.
Intersect.
Yeah, intersect
And
or
that's where
something like that.
that's where that I finally realized like, oh, that's what they mean by good luck is like you practice every day, you're doing all of the right things, and
Kind of
now
like good luck to applying everything that you've worked for.
I always thought it was like you're putting the end result in luck.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Just
And
kind of
I
like
hate
throwing
it.
up the
Yeah,
chance.
I hate it. I would never say it to
Yeah.
anyone.
No, I think you put a pretty good little spot to that. To was like I think motivation is really good. It's going to get you excited. It's going to get you started. But you got to realize that I don't know, and it's I don't want to say this to be like, hey, yeah, you're motivated right now. Wait for 6 months later, and you're not. You know, it's not to say that, but it's just to like kind of like keep that little seed in the back of your head of like, we're going to go through some dark times, and this motivation isn't going to be there. So I have to remember that the motivation is going to help me get set in all of the discipline and the habits that I need. That way, whenever I do go through that valley of just like, this sucks, I don't want to keep working out, I can keep showing up and keep going. That way, when it does go back up, I can ride that motivational wave and keep going towards what I was originally thinking. But only relying on motivation is not a good thing.
Well, and let's add one other big thing. Motivation is one thing and discipline, but also the people you surround yourself with.
Yeah, you are the average sum of the 5 people you hang around most.
Like there's days where I don't want to work out and I'm disciplined to show up here, and then, whether we're joking around or busting each other's chops or you want to take someone out in a workout, like it helps with the people around you. And that's why I think CrossFit's awesome for that.
Also wanted to say, discipline also prevents disappointment.
Yeah.
Right? Because if for whatever, I don't know, whatever it is, motivation doesn't show up and you end up not doing what you wanted to do, then you'll be disappointed, right? If you didn't have the discipline to do what you were supposed to do, you'll be disappointed with yourself. But discipline, once again, doesn't care about motivation. So there is no point in being disappointed. There's no...
Like there's no place for being disappointed.
Right,
Like that,
exactly.
It won't.
It's just, going back to like eating certain things, you'll never be disappointed with not eating shit. right?
It's true.
But you will
Yeah.
very often be disappointed after you eat something you knew you were not supposed to, because you'll still not have reached your goal, as far as the way you want to look like or how you want to perform. But discipline will, even if you're with discipline, even if you haven't reached your goal yet, you have nothing to be disappointed about because you're not sabotaging yourself by being disciplined.
Yeah.
And also, for those who are unsure, there's also no shame in being disciplined.
I was just gonna bring that up. I like that.
People will try to shame you and be like, like
It's
you're
not-
a
it's not
party
cool.
pooper
It's not
or
cool.
whatever. You're not cool.
Yeah, dude.
But then also, those same people will tell you, oh man, I wish I was more like you, or I wish I was more this, or I wish I looked like you, and stuff like that. So, yeah, being disciplined, I think, feels great.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. It's a really good thing, and you'll be surprised. Like, it's contagious. I won't lie. He's made an impact on me. Like, there's some things that I think about, and I'm like, why am I even having this conversation with myself?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree that you would, like,
Yeah.
as in like people in general, would be a lot less disappointed if they were more disciplined?
No, I agree. Yeah. No, I think that's a great way to end the podcast.
Yeah.
Um,
Discipline is cool.
discipline, you shouldn't be. Yeah, it's way cool, bro.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. Discipline definitely is nothing to be ashamed of, and you won't be disappointed if you're working and doing the right things that you're supposed to be doing. But you will be disappointed whenever you look back and you haven't done everything in your power to get to where you want to go.
I like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great podcast.
Great.
Yeah.
Great new spot, bro.
Yeah. Party on.
All right. Later.
Peace.